Mr. Meyer.
Hello, everybody. Thank you to the 30-Day Foundation for having me speak again. It's always an honor. To be in the company of Mr. Shelby and Ms. Nelson is just amazing. I always feel hope when I'm around people that reinvent themselves, and you two are the epitome of that, so I appreciate you guys both. I actually met Don Shelby about 13 years ago. I was project managing an event for an organization that served underserved communities, and I asked Mr. Shelby if he would come and tell his story, and he was very gracious and agreed to do so. And it was an amazing story. And at the end of it, he talked about being a schoolboy and having the weight of the world falling on him at that age, and how he would go home and his mother would hold him against her breast and she'd say, "Leave it right here, leave it right here." And that was his metaphor for turning it over to God. And I still use that. I still turn it over to God when I'm having a difficult day. And I also turn it over to the acronym of Good Orderly Direction. And when I'm feeling sad for myself, or I'm with somebody who's feeling sad for himself, I'm like, let's go do some service. And today, that's why I'm here. I'm very grateful. That said,
I'm going to help you. Yes.
yeah, thanks. Look, we're about to knock something over.
This podium is not built for your height.
You know, I can do the ergonomically correct. All right. So let me tell you why I'm here and how the 30-Day Foundation came into my life. After meeting Mr. Shelby 13 years ago, I became complacent in my own recovery, and I relapsed, and I ended up staying out in the darkness for 6 years. And by the grace of God, something happened to me on February 2nd, 2019, that led me to incarceration, and then led me to model drug court and treatment. And it was in treatment that I surrendered. I surrendered to the disease that governed my life for 42 years and led me to a lot of darkness. So I'm in inpatient treatment. I did 90 days there, and I was feeling good, and I was feeling hopeful, and I was just starting to re-engage in the community and connect with really positive people in my lives. I had a sponsor. I was working steps, a 12-step program. And my counselor says, "You're going to graduate next week. You got plans?" And I said, "Well, what do you tell me to do?" Because I was following everybody's recommendation at that time, and the recommendation was that I continue on to aftercare and live in sober living. And so I started to interview that week with sober houses, and I found one that would take me. And the barrier for me was $150 sober house deposit. And when I was on the streets using drugs, $150 was easy to come by. But in my sobriety, I burned every bridge that I had, and I had nowhere to turn. I didn't know of anybody that would help me. And so now I'm the day before I'm supposed to be graduating, and at this treatment center, they boot you out the door at 9 a.m. And it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm thinking, I've got to find somebody. There's got to be something I can do, something I can sell, something to have this sober house deposit. I called the owner, and she was like, "You got to have that to move in." She wasn't budging at all. And it was about 2 o'clock, I started thinking, well, maybe I could find somebody from the old world that I could couch surf, and maybe I could stay sober if I was on their couch and I just won't do the drugs. And then at 3 o'clock, I'm thinking, how am I going to pass a UA if I'm using? Because I realized that there was no way, if I'd had to go back to that world, that I was going to be able to stay sober. And so I went to my counselor's office door right before she left, and I knocked on it. Her name is Ann Ferguson. She was an amazing lady, and she said, "Try calling the 30-Day Foundation or send them an email." So I got on my phone, I sent them an email, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I hadn't heard back from them. It's 4 o'clock now. And at this point, I'm thinking things like, I'll just abscond, I'll get fake ID, I know I'm gonna end up back in that world. I was feeling really broken. And at about 4:45 that day, my phone dinged, and it was an email sent from 30-Day Foundation, and they said, "We got you, we'll happily give you that $150. That changed the trajectory of my life. It really did. $150. Changed the trajectory of my life. It bought me chapter 2. It allowed me more time to live in a stable environment, in a sober home, to continue my path, my recovery path, to establish myself in my 12-step program with people in the recovery community, to find service opportunities. And the whole time I just couldn't believe that it was just $150 that bridged that gap for me, but it did, and it was crucial. I don't think I'd be standing here today if it hadn't been for that money. So I plead with all of you to give what you can, because it would change somebody's life, and as it did mine. It gave me hope, and it gave me a strong foundation and doing the right thing. And it afforded me a lot of time to put things together for myself. Today, I own and operate a sober home company that provides 101 beds to people in early recovery in the Twin Cities. I am blessed with the abundance that this life has provided me of service, of stability, and of an emotional connection to the higher power that I call God. And anytime that I am feeling disconnected from God, I remember good orderly direction, because that always brings me back to God. Being of service to others is a key component to my recovery. If it wasn't for that service, I don't know what I'd be doing right now. But being here to stand before all of you and to tell my story is part of that service. I'm super grateful for that. So thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you, Mac. I love you with all my heart. And thank you all to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing, Meyer, and bringing it close to home. You heard her sing the national anthem, and believe me, she is too. We talk about Mick, but you talk about the wind